Hello everybody and welcome to the Across the Stages podcast, brought to you by Absolute Motorsport Radio and also available on Absolute Motorsport TV. I'm James Casey and joining me as always is Joshua Suttill. What we're going to be doing today is looking at our top 10 drivers from the 2018 WRC season and looking back at some of their key moments over the course of the season as we work our way up the field. Let's start then with the people who haven't quite made our top 10. On our first honourable/dishonourable mention, it goes to Andreas Mikkelsen. What a disappointing season for him.
Yeah, it was quite sad, wasn't it, for him and for all of us watching, because we really wanted Mikkelsen to be right alongside Neville, fighting for that title. It was a really exciting move, but unfortunately, it just never really worked for him. I mean, you look back at his last full season, 2016, he got 6 podiums and 2 wins, and you look at this year, and, 1 podium in Sweden, and that was it. I really thought at the midpoint of the season that the stuff was changing, but James, it just never really worked out, did it?
Yeah, it was a strange one. It was kind of half the time it was bad luck that was causing him trouble, and then the other half, when he didn't have bad luck, he just wasn't performing. So he never got that kind of gel. Just I don't know what to say really, and it got even worse. I think it tailed off to go even worse towards the end of the season. So I don't think he's looking great for 2019, to be honest.
No, I mean, not even a full-time try from the looks of it after that, load news, but we'll have to see. Should we move on to someone else as well who's got an unsafe future at the moment? That's Elfyn Evans, of course, 7th in the Drivers' Championship, 2 podiums, 1 in Portugal, 1 in Catalonia. I mean, it just didn't really work out for him either, did it? I mean, he was spent so much of the year playing second fiddle to Ogier right from the start. I think in Sweden, he was dropped out to give 10th to Ogier. And then it just sort of continued throughout the year. He was kind of struggled to build momentum. He couldn't repeat his heroics from last year in Rally GB, and it just never really got going for him either, did it? I mean, they weren't really consistent highs.
No, I think when he was performing, he looked really good, but it was just way too inconsistent, as you say, which was a real shame because we thought he was going to be kicking on after a successful 2017. Also, we've agreed not a great season for his new teammate Timo Sundinen either, who was 12th in the championship, only scored 54 points. Obviously a learning year, but generally quite disappointing.
Yeah, definitely. There were flashes of speed for sure, but just not really as promising as those first couple of rounds we saw from him last year. So I was expecting a bit of a jump, and unfortunately we didn't get that. So hopefully more to come from Sundinen in 2019.
And then we have Craig Breen, who almost made our top 10, but he didn't quite make it. And again, a really uncertain future for him. He could be out of the sport. Someone who, again, suffered with quite a bit of bad luck, but only 1 podium. That can't be down to luck. That's also got to be a little bit of his own doing in terms of mistakes.
And no 5th places as well this year. That was very disappointing. But no, I mean, the 2nd place in Sweden was brilliant, and then he was benched. I know it was a decision made before Sweden, but I feel like that just killed all of his momentum out of his season, so I really do feel sorry for Breen. It never really got going after that. He had kind of odd, good results, but he spent most of the year first on the road, sweeping the road on Saturday and Sunday. So, yeah, a bit of a poor year really for Breen, and it is a real shame.
But he did have a little bit of a better season than his ex-teammate, Chris Meek, who obviously will be returning with Toyota in 2019, and we hope that he really performs with them. But this season, benched due to a number of crashes that kind of spilled over from a very messy 2017 season. And obviously we didn't get to see his full season, showed good speed at parts in Monte and in Mexico, but ultimately too inconsistent and sacked in the end.
Yeah, definitely. I guess retrospectively, now we can sort of see how all the pieces of the puzzle have fallen for next year. It did make a lot of sense for Citroen really to give him the boot. I criticised it at the time, but I guess it was the right decision in the end because they got, that man, they got Ogier, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, Meek was decent, as you say. He won the Power Stage in Monte Carlo, got a podium in Mexico, could have won that pretty easily. So yeah, it's all worked out in the end. I think that's what we can say with Meek.
Mm.
He's got to drive for next year.
Yeah. And then, finally, of the people who didn't make the top 10, we have WRC2 runners, Kalle Rovanperä and Pontus Tiedemann, who obviously driving for Skoda alongside a teammate who we will mention later. But yeah, a good season for Tiedemann, but nowhere near as good as 2017, and a little bit disappointing. And Rovanperä, inconsistent, but ended the season really well, didn't he?
He was fantastic form. He's got to be easily the clear favourite for next year. He's definitely proved and lived up to the hype, I think, already. So yeah, I can't speak highly enough of him. And then, Tiedemann, I guess, like you say, he couldn't really do any better than 2017. He almost inevitably took a step back. We know he's leaving Skoda. He'll be somewhere different next year, possibly even in the WRC with M Sport, or possibly in a VW. So that'll be a good new challenge for him because I think this season proved that he's in need of a change.
Yeah, definitely in a bit of a rut at Skoda. But yeah, into the top 10 then. And in 10th place, we've got Mads Osberg. Obviously, was due to do the odd appearance. Came in Sweden in the third Citroen, and then came in again in Portugal, and got a full-time drive after that because that's when they sacked Meek. And generally, I think he did a pretty solid job.
Definitely, he dragged that Citroen up to places it didn't belong. He had an excellent run at Finland, especially, and obviously a podium as well amid the carnage in that season finale in Australia. So yeah, solid job from Osberg. He did well to sort of pick up the points and ended the year with more points than Breen, despite competing in a couple less events. So yeah, solid job from Osberg. And once again, like we said, with all these drivers, I really hope we see him next year because obviously, as we know at the moment, he doesn't have a drive.
Yeah, this is quite depressing. All of these drivers who are in danger, but yeah, that is the nature of WRC at the moment. Right, on to 9th place, and this is our WRC2 champion, Jan Kopecky. Almost had the 100% record, just missed out in Spain, but other than that, yeah, 5 wins and 1 second place. A really good job by him. I don't think you would have really put him up as a championship challenger at the beginning of the season, but yeah, he did a really good job, and he's the WRC2 champion.
Yeah, I mean, 7 points from being perfect. You can't really get much better than that. And he was great as well in EWS, in the European Rally Championship as well. I know we shouldn't really be including that in this list, but I think that was the one time he was beaten, I think, all year in that R5 car. So yeah, great stuff. Definitely deserves a place amongst the best in WRC.
It'll be very interesting to see how he does against Rovanperä next year.
Yes.
With the kind of shake-up where where they'll be up against each other directly rather than kind of one does one event, one does the other. So that'll be really good to see how Kopecky fares there. I'm looking forward to that. Right, number 8 then, we have Hayden Paddon. Part-time programme. Ended the season fantastically in Australia. Really, really strong performance there to take second place. But other than that, we've kind of thought fairly average, solid job, with the odd good event really out of the 7 that he did.
Definitely. I mean, he had that sort of event in Sweden, and then he had a massive gap until his next appearance in Portugal. So probably a little bit difficult for him to sort of gain momentum. But he brought the car home, every time apart from Portugal. Scored solid points for Hyundai, and like you say, that podium was pretty good. So yeah, again, I hope we see more of him because he ended the season on a high, definitely.
Right, number 7, and this was a really hard one for us to judge. We've kind of put him in a place that seems appropriate. Sebastian Loeb, who of course only did 3 events, so it was very hard to judge. But quick in Mexico, puncture meant that he couldn't compete for victory. Corsica crashed early on, but was quick again, could have won that one, and then he did win in Spain. So 3 events and 1 good result and speed shown in all of them. As you would have seen last episode, if you haven't, check it out. He's going to be doing 6 events this year with Hyundai. And yeah, we've put him in 7th place. Quite hard to do, but yeah, a good job in those 3 events.
Definitely, he was fantastic in Spain. What a brilliant win for the 44-year-old, proving that age is just a number, because he was incredible. He was a favourite in all 3 of those events. He was the fastest at, so many points throughout those 3 rallies. So, yeah, fantastic job. Definitely deserves a place. I know he's only done 3 rallies, but, he scored the same amount of points as Meek, and I'm sure he should have had a few more rallies this year. He'd have been even higher. So, yeah, really, really good stuff from Loeb. So impressive.
Right, getting into our top 6 now. And in 6th place, we've got another part-time driver in Danny Sordo, who did 7 events, 2 podiums, but 5 top 5 places. And really good speed shown by Sordo on gravel, which is something that we haven't seen in the past. And he's going to continue on with this kind of part-time program next year, and I think that suits him well, because this was a really strong season for him.
Definitely, it gives him good road position, gives him good motivation, and he just seems sort of ready and, like you say, really, really fast at every event. So much better, I think, than last year in terms of the pace. It seemed to be really, really there for Sordo. Maybe not quite over the entire rally. Sometimes he faded a little bit, but easily could have won in Mexico. Was really strong in Argentina as well. So, like we say, he's so far up on this list just because he managed to sort of break out of that mould of being sort of an asphalt specialist. So, yeah, really, really good stuff from Sordo. Missing that win, which so easily could have come this year, and I really hope it comes next year for him.
Right, 5th place then, and this was a tough one between him and his teammate, but we've gone with Esa-Pekka Lappi in 5th place, the position that he ended in the championship. 3 podiums, couldn't repeat the victory from Finland last year. But generally was competitive in pretty much all of the events. A few retirements, but generally was there or thereabouts in the top 5. And a pretty good season for him. And he's going to Citroën next year.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he gets extra points just for his power stage performances. He was electric at every power stage, pretty much. He just absolutely went for it. I think he won about 3 of them in the first half of the year. Really, really good stuff. I mean, he was lacking that big result, that big standout sort of Finland win that we saw from him before. That didn't happen for him, but he still got 3 podiums and a whole heap of points, like you say. He was the second best Toyota driver for a large part of the season before he was overturned, of course, by the driver next on our list. Spoilers, but yeah, Lappi was pretty good, and at Citroën he's going to be, I think, pretty special alongside Ogier.
So in 4th position then, Lappi's teammate Oit Tanak. No, no, it's of course Jari-Matti Latvala. Who would have thought that we'd be saying that he was the 4th best driver of the season at the midpoint of the season?
I know, I was saying he was going to be leaving at the end of the year.
But yeah, really turned it around. Fantastic end to the season. Of course, won in Australia. Could have won a few events before that as well. But yeah, after the summer break, he was took 4 podiums and 5 overall for the season. And what a turnaround. And it kind of showed that it was quite a lot of bad luck that was holding him back towards the beginning of the season, and not him losing it as we kind of had feared. But yeah, a really good turnaround from him.
Definitely, he seemed, in fine form, and probably my highlight for him was probably, Rally GB when he beat Ogier in the power stage. I thought that was pretty special. And like you say, that whole second half was so impressive. And I think, as we said in the Australia review, possible title contender for next year. Let's keep an eye on that one, because he had really, really good momentum and was probably the driver of the second half of the year, apart from maybe one man who we'll come to a little bit later on.
Right, top 3 then. And of course, it's the top 3 in the championship. They all had very good years. I think you could make an argument for any of them to be the top driver. But what we've decided is Thierry Neuville as our 3rd place. And a very good first half of the season. 3 wins before the summer break, leading the championship quite comfortably. And tailed off towards the end of the season, unfortunately. But for me, I think it was a big improvement in 2017 in terms of his maturity, finishing the events far more often, and ultimately I think that was why he was in the championship this year, and he was quite unfortunate to miss out. But yeah, we've put him in 3rd place.
Definitely, that first half of the year I think was so impressive. Of course, again the highlight, Sardinia Power Stage. I mean, that is the moment of the year for sure.
Mm.
Fantastic stuff from Neville. And even in the second half of the year, obviously we were saying he tailed off, and of course he did. But I think we both agreed before, but that's a large part down to Hyundai, I think, in the team. Neville was, I think still pretty special throughout there. The second half of the year, like you say, made a lot less mistakes than he did in 2017. I don't feel like he's lost the championship this year. I feel like last year he sort of threw it away, but I feel this year he was just defeated by a sort of more powerful sort of driver and car combination in OJ and that M Sport. So yeah, for sure, a really solid job from Neville, and like you say, you can literally make the argument for him being, the first, the best driver of the year. So yeah, really good stuff. And as I say, I think the best win of the year goes to him.
Right, so second place then, and it is our world champion, Sebastian Ogier, who of course started the season absolutely electric with 3 wins out of the first 4. Then went through a bit of a tough period, and it looked like he was out of the championship with 3 races to go, but he pulled it back and snapped the championship away from his rivals, and a really good season from Sebastian Ogier. But yeah, we haven't put him number 1.
Yeah, I mean, just fantastic resilience really all the way through the year. Like you say, I was very worried he was going to dominate this year after Corsica. I thought, that might be it. He's going to win, half the rallies and easily wrap up the championship. It wasn't the case. A brilliant challenge from both Neville and another driver as well. But yeah, O'Shea was pretty fantastic. I guess, why have we not put him number 1? Well, it's not really a case of him doing a bad job. It's just a case where we feel like the number 1 driver was even better. And I guess for Ogier, probably more mistakes than we've ever seen from him before. That's still not saying very much. We literally mean about 2, which is about 1 more than usual. So, yeah, probably not Ogier's best season. But certainly, I mean, he's had to fight harder for this one probably than any of Rivers' championships.
Right then, so number 1, and of course you've guessed it, it is Ott Tanak, who really should have been champion this year, and there's a number of reasons why he wasn't the world champion. Partly because he was a lot of points back early on in the season due to kind of reliability issues, and then towards the end of the season, just when he'd caught up, he then started having a few problems again. But by far, his combination with the Toyota Yaris was the fastest and the best combination of the year, and he just showed incredible speed in that second half of the season, and he looked in a different class at some points.
Definitely, he was easily the driver of the second half of the year, and even through that first half as well, he was just picking up podium after podium. I mean, let's not forget, he was new to the team this year, and he came in there straight away in Monte Carlo and was immediately, the fastest Toyota driver. So, full credit to Tanak, fantastic from start to finish. And like you say, I think a real shame that he hasn't walked away with the title. But I guess in the end, it doesn't matter because he's going to turn up the next year as probably the title favourite. Fantastic job. I mean, what can you say? I mean, could you pick out one highlight really from this year? It's pretty tough, isn't it? With domination in Finland, did really well in Germany, stayed in it until the end in Turkey and scooped up the win. There's so many points to pick out. He's brilliant in Argentina. Like I said, brilliant in the season open as well to immediately be quickest. There's just so many to point to.
Yeah, there's really you can't. I honestly can't pick a moment out of that, and I think actually as well, the WRC couldn't, because they did their like awards ceremony. They said like moment of the season was Tanak's 3 wins. They couldn't pick out a moment either. Just so many fantastic.
We haven't really seen anything like that, have we? Unless it's Ogier, no one has won consecutively like that. 3 in a row. I doubt in a very long time, probably since Loeb.
And 3 extremely different events as well.
Yes.
I think that's what showed it, wasn't it? Finland, light gravel, really quick. Then you got Germany, kind of a rough tarmac event, and then Turkey, which was just a blooming demolition derby, to be honest. So yeah, no, he's definitely going to be the favourite next year. An incredible job this year. But yeah, that sums it up then. That is the 2018 season. What a season it was. And we've got another cracking season, I reckon, to look forward to in 2019. And of course, we will be back then with more episodes on our YouTube channel, Absolute Motorsport TV, and on Absolute Motorsport Radio as well, which is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM. So make sure to check those out if you haven't already. We'll be back next season, and I hope to have you listening then. Thanks for your time, and goodbye.